Hello, and welcome to the College of Performing Arts' speaker series for the 24-25 academic year, Socially Conscious Artistry, Faculty Leadership. I am Stephen Brown-Fried, Vice Dean of Curriculum and Learning for the college, and I am thrilled to get to introduce to you today the incredible artist Paz Tanjuaquio, a member of our drama faculty, and also the creator of TOPAZ Arts, which she's going to be talking with us a bit about today. I'm going to hand things over to Paz in a moment. Also wanted to let people know the next installment of this series will be on November 13th, when we will have Frank J. Oteri in conversation with Wahidullah Sagar talking about Afghanistan's endangered musical traditions and Dr. Sagar's work to preserve those traditions. But now, so that we can get going on today's session, without further ado, it is my delight and pleasure to introduce to you Paz Tanjuaquio.
Thank you so much, Stephen. I'm going to talk from behind here because I'll be showing you some images and videos. I just wanted to start off first to take a breath together. I always start with that in classes, so I welcome us to just take a breath in and breathe out. Another breath in and out, really feeling your sit bones, whether you're sitting in here or at home, just connecting with our breath. So thank you for that. And I also want to thank you again to Stephen for inviting me to be here today, and also my colleagues in the drama department, and happy to be at the New School College of Performing Arts. I am also on the advisory faculty, which I'm happy to do that this year as well. I have been teaching starting in 2022, and a shout out to Gail Faquette, who brought me in, and have been teaching movement through Body 2, and also dance styles for theater, and creative collaborations, which has been really wonderful. So thank you for being here. I want to start off with showing you first a video from the pandemic era. We started this in 2020 was our 20th year at TOPAZ Arts. So I just wanted to give you an overview of what our programs look like, what the space looks like. So it's a short video that we can start with just to look at. And here we go. that's it in a nutshell. So, yes, I'm going to take you back a little bit further in history. As this is Philippine American History Month, I want to take you a little bit on a history. I'm from the Philippines. I was born in the Philippines, but I want to take you back before I was born. The Philippines was colonized by Spain, and we like to say we were 400 years in the convent and 50 years in Hollywood when America took over. But I wanted to also mention that the first Filipinos landed here on these shores in 1521. So our histories are really entwined with the U.S., and my family moved here during the martial law in 1972 in the Philippines. So I was only 5 when I arrived. So that displacement really informs my work today and has always been part of my investigation of uncovering what our true histories are. So I just wanted to start off with that. So when also from the artistic inclinations that I had was encouragement when I was a young child. I had drawing abilities, and I found out from teachers, that my first teacher, that drawing was a tool to help heal people. I knew how to draw well, so my mother it would cure my mother's headaches. So those experiences really drew me into pursuing art. Though my family is not in the art world, they're on the medical and banking industry, I pursued art on my own. So when we came to the States, I kept wanting to do art, but also being pulled by expectations of family. So I think it's a common thing in Asian and Philippine families to pursue professional fields rather than the art world. So, but that I went to UCSD, just quick history, to study biology, but then ended up turning to the visual arts and graduated in my BA in visual arts studio. And it was there that I discovered that painting and drawing was my forte. And then seeing Anne Bogart's piece at the La Jolla Playhouse really flipped the switch for me to go into performance, and finding that movement became my form to express myself. So that was UCSD in 1989, and moved to New York City in 1990. I quickly began doing auditions, taking dance classes, and ended up performing with different choreographers, and decided finally to pursue my master's in dance, to get serious in it, and auditioned, got into NYU Tisch Dance. This is all part of the journey that is bringing me to where I am today. So going to NYU really formulated choreography and dance as my form. In that time also, I met collaborators, and Todd Richmond, who's here, is my collaborator and co-founder of TOPAZ Arts. So it was our first collaborative piece, involved a sculpture called Displaced Garden that we made, hauling this big sculpture around town. So it was our dream to find a space. And finally, in 2000, we found a space in Woodside, Queens, and saw the space, ran into, called up the owner, and got the ball rolling. We were younger, and we just dove in, and we looked all over New York City to find space, and we finally found something out in Queens, where we were inspired to go to. Noguchi Museum was there. There was a lot more light less tall buildings so that light was important to us. And it was a lot quieter, so we wanted to create a space that had a residency feeling, because we've been doing residencies all over the world, Korea, Japan, and wanted to recreate that feeling here in New York City that artists and ourselves can utilize. So here's the empty building. So we dove in, gutted the building. It's a 2,500 square foot building. Rolled up our sleeves, and our first initial thought was to do a sprung floor. This is a floated sprung floor. These are rubber pads that are put underneath each strip, and we wanted to do a heated floor. So that was new back in 2000. The green initiatives weren't quite there yet, so we had to invent a lot of these things, and it has to be a level floor, so it's leveled, and it's a hot water pipes that run through the floor, and we filled it with sand so that it disperses the heat just like a beach. So that's how we created the heated floor, and that was inspired from our residency in Korea. In Korea, homes are heated from the floor, and they sleep on the floor. So our dream was to do this for a dance floor, and we did. And 24 years later, it's working well and cozy and warm, especially in the winter, of course. So we finally finished the flooring, marley over top of that, and also had to do necessary city things, redoing sidewalks. So this was a lot of things. And by 2001, we were able to start renting it out at $10 an hour. So we were one of the first spaces in Queens. Back in 2000, we have to think about what it was like in 2000. It wasn't thought of yet to go out to Queens to rehearse or even perform. There were spaces there, of course, like Queens Theater in the Park, Talia Spanish Theater. But as far as rehearsal space, it was really needed to explore this space. So by 2001, we were renting it out. And we were creating our first piece for Performance Space 122, which is now Performance Space New York. And that was another evening-length work that was called 12. And part of the initiative also was to be a multi-use space for visual arts and performance arts. So the front space became a vital gallery space for visual artists and performing works, performing arts. 2002, we had Clarinda McClough. She did a recycling piece early on, and our first exhibition of photographs of Kazuo Ono, and Japanese artists. And in 2003, we started collaborating with the Queens Museum of Art to do a dance residency in the museum. So it was an open call for artists, and the best, we had numerous artists apply, and one of the best stories I have is we had Camille Brown apply, and she was an unknown name back then, but you all know her now, right? Camille A. Brown from Jamaica, Queens, and that was her very first residency that she got as a dancer and choreographer, and that, of course, we know she has now become a multi-nominated artist on Broadway and elsewhere. And many artists have gone through that. So that program ran for several months, or for several years, till their renovation. And we started doing residencies at Topaz Arts. This is a local artist that we also supported, photographer in Woodside. Kids' schools would come through and see the works. And I'm gonna be talking about my work as well as the space. So in 2005, we did another evening-length work at Dance Space Project called Thunder Against 123, and that got in the New York Times. At the same time, we were starting to do more visual arts exhibitions. I'm just going to go through the years again about cultivating time, a time for my work as well as time to support others' works and time to bring in the community. So in 2006, we started an annual fall event that invited to celebrate our anniversaries are in October, and also it's Filipino American History Month, so we started doing artists of Filipino descent during the month of October. This was a evening-length work at Topaz Arts that we developed using the whole space from the gallery all the way to the back space, and that was called Soundless Music, using the manuscript by Yoko Ono. We also worked with community organizations around our neighborhood. This was adults with developmental disabilities, and we worked with the artists who taught there. We just showcased their work that they made in their program, and we got the frames donated from the Chelsea framing place, and so it was a really professional exhibit for them, and it was quite an extraordinary experience for them and us who were able to experience it. Again, we started doing workshops, and poetry readings have been an ongoing thing, and more each season we programmed artists that were both musicians and performers, and also book launches. So in 2010, when my teaching started to come through, I was invited to by the Frank Sinatra School of the Arts in Queens. It's a school that Tony Bennett founded, and I took one of my duets in 2010 called The Divide and set it to 20 senior students at the High School of Performing Arts. That was 2010. And we were happy that Tony Bennett was in the audience to see that. That was very special. So artists came through. We like to say we brought in artists from different parts of New York City to Woodside, Queens. So it was a way to bring people out to the margins, because that's where it's happening and that's where it's more affordable. So these were artists. This is Third Rail Projects. They're prominent artists now for immersive theater. This is Colleen Hooper, who did an outdoor performance. So we like to say that the artists came here and that came to Woodside, Queens, and were the new immigrants in the town. So by 2010, we celebrate our 10th anniversary, and it was it was an accomplishment to make it to 10, and had many artists participate in this celebration. And also, I wanted to talk a little bit. You saw the roof garden that we started from the very beginning. We've been growing kale and blueberries, strawberries, and garlic. Garlic is my new thing. That we take our harvest and share it with artists and feed people with our at openings with our harvest. So it's been an ongoing piece for us to be organic, to be sustainable as well as artists, and to try to make use every space of our space. The rooftop, the skylights became places to grow food. So it's been a great discovery each year, a new harvest. That artist is a prominent artist, Hong Chu Zhang. He's a prominent Chinese artist who lives down the block. So now we're in 2011, and we are still $10 an hour for rehearsal space. So rehearsal space, we're able to get grants to subsidize this. New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, as well as New York State Council on the Arts, have a program for $10 an hour space offerings to artists. So that's where that level of $10 an hour was set, and we've been $10 an hour since. So ongoing, we all had another project with this adults with developmental disabilities. This one was called Sketchy, where we displayed their sketchbooks, and it was wonderful another wonderful experience for them, as well as projections in the back with their markings. In 2012, we embarked on a huge venue exhibit that brought in 20 artists from Manila. We had traveled to Manila and met many contemporary artists, and met Manuel Campo, one of the most prominent contemporary artists of the Philippines. And we got to see the art movement in the Philippines, and got the inspiration to bring that feeling into New York. So we gathered several venues: Topaz Arts, Queens Museum of Art, New York University, a mall, a gallery in the mall of Flushing, Queens, because that's the same kind of situation they have in the Philippines, where galleries are in the malls and in spaces, alternative spaces. So we were able to collaborate with artists, bring all these artists' works here, with some of them in residence. And it was a huge undertaking, but it was an amazing experience. Many of the artists now have, of course, gone on to be several of the artists, Jerry Tan and Manuel Campo, represented Venice, the Philippines, and the Venice Biennale. So a lot of things have spurred from this exhibit. And this is just another one of the collaborations. It's a ice sculpture that we had to put at the Queens Museum, and that's Poklong Anading, and Bea Camacho is the artist. So again, there are prominent artists now that are collected at the Guggenheim. Poklong had a piece right after this exhibit go on to the Guggenheim. So again, this is Topaz Arts on the left, and the gallery in Crossing Arts in Flushing. So 2012, we also invited A.A. Bronson, one of the prominent artists of General Idea, to give an artist talk. Again, we bring in so many different artists, from very prominent to local artists within our community, so that people are able to experience all kinds of arts that would inspire each other and help understand. So for World AIDS Day, we invited A.A. Bronson to give a talk at Topaz Arts. And the space is also used for networking. This is a networking event with Fractured Atlas. Our city councilman was there. Again, another use of space. We started to bring in Southeast Asian artists that we have met through residencies and different situations. This is 3 Cambodian women artists that we presented, and this is Anida Yu Ali. She actually just had a solo show in Seattle, at the museum there, and it was just amazing how taking, new works at the forefront of the artists working and being able to present them early on has been one of our issues that we are able to help artists in Topaz Arts. And with that, we also did the Armory Art Fair Fountain Art Fair in 2013. Again, bringing it to other artists, other audiences, so that we were able to showcase artists' works, and always inserting myself in situations where I can perform in the artwork. Another artist that we supported was Mamerto Tindongan. Indigenous forms, he takes trees, downed trees or cuts trees, and has a ritual in making artwork, and we brought those on in 2013 as well. And that's Grace Nono. She's a performer, singer, prominent artist in the Philippines and here. And we were able to collaborate on a piece for the showing. And again, this is Todd Richmond's work. It was with other artists that worked with him, with the prominent artist Richard Artswager. So we were able to showcase each artist's own work as well as their inspiration from working with a major artist, Richard Artswager, who has now passed. So that was called Under the Influence. And in 2014, it was a Vietnamese artist, On Ngoc Pham, again, showcasing works that we feel really needs to be seen. And he's been making work for a long time, part of the guerrilla group of the Asian American art scene from the 90s. And he's been making work in Queens, and we were able to show him in 2014. Also, again, helping artists with their projects. This is Claro de los Reyes in his laundromat project for Create Change, where he interviewed artists, interviewed people in Queens, and it became an oral history that was documented and through photographs and workshops that he did with the ribbons there through Queens Museum, through our space, and was able to showcase that. And we got the Filipino sisig truck for the opening, so that was amazing to have. Also, again, prominent artist, New Leroy, who does visual and performing arts. This was a collaboration with him and Chloe Chotrani. That was 2016, I believe. So throughout our years, we've always been supporting different projects, and we've also been supporting, again, Filipino American History Month of October. This was Pinay Visionaries, I believe in 2019. And we've been collaborating with them through different initiatives, and in this case, we hosted their award ceremony. And now we're in 2015, and we are still $10 an hour. Again, constant work to get those grants to be able to support artists' works. And the thing with $10 an hour is it allows, of course, affordability and consistency for artists to make work. And it keeps artists working and are able to keep their projects, keep new projects coming, and also rehearse projects for upcoming shows. So we're in 2015. It was my first marathon. I'm showing this to you because it became our fundraising event, so that I would run a marathon and people would support by donating to Topaz Arts. So that was our first one, and there's been 8 since. So keep Topaz running has been our motto. So I'm just going through in tandem with all this community work, supporting artist works. Also, we also continue to make works, so making dance films, also performing at La Mama. So balancing all this time together with, holistically with our own work, as well as supporting other works by other artists. And continuing to show work internationally. This was in Geneva on the left side, Geneva, Switzerland. I was invited to perform in the exhibition of the Temple of Abstraction. And the right side is at the Fisher Landau with Lorna Simpson's work, where I was able to perform in the space and collaborate as far as performing the energy within the space between the artwork and the audience. And also outdoor works. I performed at Dance at Socrates, a sculpture park, And also that was on the red umbrella is at the Woodside projects in upstate New York. So always creating, always making new work is very important to in our work as well as supporting other artists. In all this time, I'm also a performer. I mention this because it's also part of how that informs my work, and also am able to perform with other choreographers. The left side is Nikki Paraiso, who did a evening-length work in La Mama. The right side is Dean Moss, Petra, that was performed at Performance Space New York, and continuing to perform for other choreographers and collaborations. This was a collaboration with right before the pandemic in Brooklyn, and it was literally right before the pandemic, and it was Elliot Sharp and Philip Hamilton that invited me to be a dancer in this live improv performance. So the pandemic happened, 2020. We all shut down, right? And it was really a hard time, challenging time for everybody. It was a time where we had to physically shut down TOPAZ Arts. And it was, I think everyone can share here, especially in New York, what it felt like then. And the one thing that happened during that time was also Black Lives Matter, and a lot of Zoom meetings happened, and Atlanta happened, where the murders of Asian American people happened. So Stop Asian Hate was a physical reaction that I had, where I witnessed hate, and I felt it was a difficult time already, but also I avoided the subway for probably a year. So it was a difficult time, and it really affected me. So in that not knowing what to do and being shut down, we start to think of ways to, what can we do? And we got an email from Robert Rauschenberg Foundation wanting to help the dance community, and they wanted us to propose a project that they could support. So we came up with the AAPI Dance Residencies. So our mission was to uplift the voices of Asian American artists. So it's been an ongoing program now where we curate artists that are working on new work, as well as supporting them in the projects that they're doing. So this was the first cohort in 2022. Wei Wang Zhang, Leonard Cruz, Jiaying Kao, Nikeo Thomas, Sulan Buhar Thomas Show, long show, and Mina Nishimura. They all had, each artist gets free space, 50 hours of free space at Topaz Arts, plus a stipend, and the ability to do what they want, whether they want to show something or not. The mission was to just support where they were at. And each one did a showing, and this was Wei Wang's showing, Terrain, that we supported, and also helped him realize with the music that he wanted. Drumming, Todd came up with this way to make a live drum perform on its own through vibration. So the Terrain was about the Cultural Revolution in China, and it was a very emotional piece and a very unique piece where he performed throughout the audience, within the audience. So the audience was spaced out throughout the floor, and they performed around them. And it was also multilingual. And we continued to support him because he needed more time. And the second cohort in 2023, we curated Jessica Chen, who on the left just finished AAPI Heroes at Arts on Site. And it's a piece that really uplifts different heroes that we need to know in the Asian American community, from Bruce Lee to film stars that we should know and need to know. So that happened, and she's still continuing on work at Topaz Arts today. And the middle is Sun Kim. She is a hip hop performer and also is in cabaret right now in the Kit Kat Club, one of the characters there. So it's amazing to support artists before they blow up. It's amazing to watch and see. And still, they come back to Topaz Arts to continue their practice. So she's there every Friday morning to just make sure her projects keep going, whether as a big performer or while doing the performances at the Kit Kat Club. And down below is Mary Prescott. She's a Thai American artist and was recently named, got a Princess Grace Award recently. And the main thing with her was she really wanted to explore her Thai roots, and we welcomed her in. And the beauty of Queens is we are in a Thai neighborhood, and her piece turned out to be about food, and serving food as part of her performance was at the Harlem stage last year. This year's cohort is these artists that are both working on their own things, but also some of them collaborate with each other, so it's just wonderful to watch. Barka Patel is on the left side. She also just got the Princess Grace Award. Sugar Vandil in the middle. She's a performer, pianist, and choreographer. Jingyi Chang is just started, and she is working on a piece that deals with, she's from Taiwan, working on the Japanese occupation in Taiwan, which to me was a revelation because that also happened in the Philippines. So the more we hear these stories, we start to understand where we come from and what each other's cultures have been through. Jennifer Chin, down on the right, will be starting next spring, and Annie Wang will be starting also next spring, who also dances for Reggie Wilson Fist Heel Group. So we're all performers, we're all choreographers for each other. We perform for each other's works, and it's just wonderful to see this community happening among artists, and so being able to support that. Of course, we don't much see what happens in rehearsal till we see what they post. So it's wonderful when we get to peek into everyone's processes when they give a little snippet on Instagram or different ways. So I love what Sun Kim really is really honest about what she's going through, and gives a lot of insight into her creative process. So I don't know if you can read that from where you are, but she talks about her creative process being a wild ride and having that time. And I think for artists at Topaz, the unique thing there is really we created that residency feeling where you can really concentrate and work on your thoughts and your piece. And Jessica Chen also just recently posted, and it's wonderful to be thanked, and wonderful to see what's happening behind that curtain. So it's part of it's the necessary scenes that we don't see that many artists go through. I mean, the end product is on stage, but the most important part is the making of it. So that's where Topaz Arts has been able to support, and supporting artists of Asian American backgrounds, and also continuing to support community groups. This is Piketty. They do Filipino knife fighting, so I'm happy to see a lot more women involved in their group. They'll be doing a seminar this November 2nd at Topaz Arts. And what it is, they invite master artists from the Philippines and all over the world to give master classes to this group. And it's just a wonderful, empowering thing to have. And also, we're involved in the community. We're involved with helping to advocate for the naming of Little Manila Avenue on Roosevelt Avenue. So it was a big celebration. The sign came up. So naming things is really such an important thing. And our naming the AAPI residency was really necessary, even though we've always been supporting artists throughout our history. The naming of it was, solidifies and uplifts what needs to be uplifted and heard about. So these are our programs that we continue. Our recent spring season, we did a spring salon. Every year we do spring salon, and we had Pinta Pintados by Avant-Garde. They're two artists that are actual museum guards, and part of their work is making this scene to have people make art and then guard them on site. So that happened also in the spring. And in the middle is Mary Prescott that you saw already, but she did a new piece and an improvised piece that we were able to collaborate. I was able to collaborate with her, which was wonderful. And Warren Lehrer did a book launch and also reading of with Judith Sloan and Najla Saeed, a Palestinian actress. And they did two works, and that was just amazing to see. So this is, where are we at? We are 2023. These are some of the things, just to it was wonderful to start opening up again after 2020. To 2021, we started opening up, and then rehearsals kept coming back, and it was just, the garden keeps growing, so we just kept that going, book launches and different artists that have come through. It's wonderful to get back to where we were pre-pandemic. So now we're 2024, and we're still $10 an hour. So I researched what $10 is in actuality, versus 2000 to 2024 prices. Its actual value is about $18. So that $10 is now almost $20, but artists are still paying $10 an hour. So it's really important to keep supporting artists' works in this way, because that's where the work happens. So many hours. This is about time. So I feel like our time is so valuable, especially in New York. So it's really hard to find space and a comfortable space that allows you to just explore and experiment. So that's been our mission ever since. And again, throughout this, I've also kept pieces going. I went back to making duets, and for a time it was mainly solo work, because all this other work, it was hard to put a group together, but group work starts to come back up. This was at the Judson Church in 2022, and just checking on time. I was able to create a new piece called Dead Stars Still Shine that turned into a evening length work at the Abrams Arts Center in 2024 of this year. Wow. This January. And so that was, it's been hard to, again, from the pandemic to now, put pieces back together, piecing them together, and coming up with pieces. This piece to me was called Silhouetta. It's about a silhouette of an indigenous dance, taking a piece through images of silhouettes and creating movement from the silhouettes of the dance. And so it's called Silhouetta, and I collaborated again with Todd Richmond and also Brent Michael Davids, an indigenous composer who did a piece called Petroglyph, and again, images from static images that became movement. So that is where we're at. And this summer, I was able to go back to the Philippines. And it was the first time, again, since the pandemic, traveling internationally, and was invited to perform at a gallery called the Drawing Room Manila, and Todd Richmond's work was also displayed there. So I performed with 4 different artists' works within the gallery, reacting and creating from their works, and to create a new piece for the audience on the opening day. So it was a live performance, and if I have time, I will show you some of it, but I will continue on. Also in Manila of this summer, I was invited to participate or to create a work in Portals. It's at the university, at Ateneo Art Gallery. 2 artists, Jed Marino and Aze Ong, created this beautiful outdoor sculpture called Portals. And I invited, being such a large work, I gathered students from the university to create a piece outdoor that would involve their method of weaving. So we came up with movement structures that involved weaving through each other and also working interactively with the work. So that happened. And along all this, I'm also still performing with other works, with other choreographers. I'm in the piece called The March with the Big Dance Theater, and that's choreographed by Annie B. Parson, Tendai Kumba, and Donna Uchizono. That premiered last December in the Perlman Arts Center downtown. And it's also recently been filmed just last week. I'm not supposed to show you this, but I give you a peek. So that was just last week. So all along this, back in 2000, this was then. That's what it looked like. Now we're here. We're still in Woodside, Queens, 24 years later, and 30 years of collaboration. We have made it this far. So I hope this was, if we have time, I have a little video that I'd like to share. This is a piece with 4 Filipino artists that just to celebrate Filipino American History Month. So here it goes. This was a live improvisation, and the pieces on the gallery walls are by Todd Richmond. This is Leonard Cruz, Dr. Leonard Cruz from Germany. He's a visiting artist from Germany. Nikeo Tomosho, a younger artist that is also performing with Emerge 125. In the backspace is Marie Lloyd Paspy, who performs with Bill T. Jones, Arnie Zane, and also creates her own work, and myself. that started off the series or performance for that day that celebrated Philippine Independence Day in June. So thank you for watching and being here, and I really am so thankful for this opportunity to share everything with you. If anybody wants to ask any questions, I'm happy to hear, but I know we're at time, so I really appreciate your time, and I hope this you're able to keep in touch. That's all our info. We're part of this Bloomberg Connects app. I hope you can download. It's a really neat app that is an international app for organizations, cultural institutions, that you can learn more about each one, each artwork, that you can see more in depth with the app. So thank you again so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Maybe the lights. Would be happy to hear. Yeah, this has been a wonderful thing to do for me to really realize time and cultivating that with the space is really how we, fluctuate through life. Also, I just wanted to mention that as teachers, there are certain teachers that I had that really stuck with me. So the things that we say to our students really form young students' paths. So yeah, I always keep that in mind, how much teachers are so important. So thanks all for all your work, and happy to be here. Thank you.
I don't have a question, but I'm just so moved by you being an artist and giving so much opportunity to artists. And
Thank you.
how you've been able to continue that over all these years is very impressive to me.
Thank you. Yeah, it's about sustainability, I think. I mean, that was part of our mission for TOPAZ, and it's, the main mission really for all of us to keep going, keep trying to make ways, solutions to keep being an artist and sustaining ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Community and creating community and all those people go out and
Right.
so
Yeah. Thank you.
beautiful, so beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I want to go lie on those floors.
Yes. Warm floor.